Forward to another James Franco project, or?
Sure. So Travis and I are in development for our next script. It's going to be a straightforward narrative, whatever that means. But so we are writing that, and we are talking to James about another project. We don't know how extensive it's going to be. If it's going to be a small project. This was good. So this actually was commissioned by a gallery in New York, a fancy clothing store gallery, which a lot of them are turning into, in New York, to be an installation with Travis and James. And it was only going to be in a corner or something. And then when we were editing it, when Travis was editing it, we realized it could be a lot more. So we stretched it as far as we could. I think if it was a minute longer, it would be way too long. So we made it 60 minutes because we felt like we had enough material and that the subject worked to that extent.
Standing against the wall, sir.
Do you think James' involvement in this film is a risky thing because it might make people question his sexuality just by being connected with the project? And in 2013, is that a bad thing, or do you think it might actually help his career because he's just he's continuously in the media cycle through potentially any controversy that it generates?
So the question is this in any way risky for James Franco, and that it may lead people to question his sexuality, and is that risky for him?
Which I'm not going to answer that question. I know I get to answer that all the time, but I actually don't think it's that risky. I mean, it depends on who you ask. If you ask my brother, who is like a very heteronormative man in suburban Atlanta, if this is risky for James Franco, it would be totally risky. But I don't think it's risky. And
well, no, I was just going to say it's so much. I mean, it's interesting because when you watch Cruising, like even today, Cruising feels sort of seedy and dangerous. But there's so much of the aesthetic of a lot of that stuff has kind of seeped into the mainstream. When I was just walking down the street, I saw a bus shelter Tommy Hilfiger ad that felt very kind of informed by a gay aesthetic, if I may say.
Yeah.
And then
you may.
Thank you. And then I also thought that scene where Val is sitting against the wall and Master Avery comes. I was sort of thinking Terminator. This is a lot like the Terminator.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, dangerous, but in a different way.
Yeah. I think the more risky move was in 1980 for Al Pacino to play that character. And I would love to actually see those 40 minutes that apparently has him and others engaging in like unsimulated gay sex. That's the rumor. I mean, I think that's like, talk about being ahead of your time. I mean, now Al Pacino, like, it would maybe help his career to like play.
He's a little long in the tooth.
Unsimulated gay sex in a movie. That would really.
I think that belongs more with the coffee time.
Which was, by the way, a great parody. I really like that film.
It felt riskier, frankly. Like,
like, oh, gay sex, oh, whatever. But
old people sex,
what?
Right.
We did have old people gay sex.
Old people gay sex.
Oh,
God.
This is Canada. You need to back off. Okay, one more question. Yes, sir.
So did you actually create all the 40 minutes?
So did they actually create all the 40 minutes?
No, because we didn't have time. So we only had a day and a half. So we just created those two scenes. We just kind of reimagined those scenes, and we wanted Val to be put in them and to be put in situations that make him uncomfortable, which we thought would have made Al Pacino and did make his character in Cruising uncomfortable. So no, we didn't make those, and we also just didn't. I think we just felt like, well, this isn't necessarily very interesting. I mean, it's interesting as a gallery piece, but I don't know.
Some of us can.
Right. I mean, if it was, depends on what we imagine those 40 minutes to be. I guess you could care and it would be really interesting. But yeah.
If you made it, Keith, it would be interesting.
No thanks.
Oh, sorry. Yes, sir.
Was Angie Todd
Interior. Okay, so the question is, was anything cut from this movie that's going to make it into Interior 2?
Oh, I hope there's not an Interior Leather Bar 2. We stretched, I mean, like I said, if it was 30 seconds longer, it would be like too meta. Somebody, okay, so I got a ride. Are we out of time?
We're almost out.
Okay, I got a ride from the airport by a very lovely hot dogs person, and we were talking. I was explaining what the film was, and I also am a performance artist, and I just came from Austin, Texas, giving some performances, and she said I should come out in my, and it involves like a hard hat, and I'm like this a cave and mountain tour guide, and she said you should come out in your, you know, get-up and just be that persona. And she's like, oh, it'd be so meta. And I was like, no, it can't. Like, after our film, I think if people are ready to just be like, oh,
just need to get sucked into a vortex.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't want that for y'all. We wanted to be safe.
No, especially this late.
Yeah, and I'm afraid that's all the time we have for
Thank you.
tonight. So, yeah, thank you very much.